Good afternoon, my distinguished colleagues, Mr. Senate President, the Vice Chairman of the committee, Senator Erwin Tulfo. We reconvene today for the 8th public hearing on the motu proprio inquiry in aid of legislation and investigation into the flood control anomaly, even as we are already finalizing the partial committee report to be routed to your offices as early as next week. Contrary to the lies and obfuscations that naysayers are trying to spread around, your Blue Ribbon Committee has accomplished so much since the flood control scandal broke wide open in the middle of last year. Since then, waves of information have dominated the national discourse at every level of our society, local and national. Lest we be drowned out by the rising tide of noise here and there, allow me to run down how much ground we have covered in the course of the committee's 7 public hearings. Since the Bulacan 1st District Engineering Office was exposed as the epicenter of the biggest corruption saga in recent history, your committee was able to hear and record the sworn testimonies of DPWH District Engineer Henry Alcantara, Assistant District Engineer Bryce Hernandez, JP Mendoza, and the rest of the so-called BGC boys, and laid bare their collective splurging of billions of pesos in several casinos, made possible by their indispensable roles in a mafia-like scheme, not from extortion for protection activities involving business establishments, but through an elaborate conspiracy in siphoning funds from the country's national budget intended for flood control projects to protect lives and properties of Filipinos in low-lying areas. Then, there was former DPWH Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo. Your committee followed the money and paper trails through skillful research and questioning by our members, which revealed the deep web of in-house contracting, bid rigging, padded contract costs, and license renting. This scam was so systematic and brazen, resulting in substandard infrastructure and worse, ghost flood control projects. In the hearings that followed, the case of Bulacan proved to be a gateway, the microcosm of a much more complex and institutionalized plunder within the bureaucracy. Your committee became the stage for shocking and scathing revelations made by the key actors of the flood control scam. We conduct these hearings with such fairness and integrity that those with the truth felt motivated to come forward to testify, while others became tentative and unsure of which path to trek. Let me emphasize one point. We always go where the evidence leads us. We do not target any particular person, nor do we have the intention to cover up for anybody. Thus, we uncovered the top-to-bottom systemic misuse and abuse of public funds involving high officials in the executive and legislative branches, even the Commission on Audit. Sa kasalukuyan na sa speak, may mga nakasakdal na sa Sandigan Bayan at sa mga regular na korte ng bansa, at marami pa ang sumasailalim sa preliminary investigations ng Ombudsman at Department of Justice, mga contractors at matataas na opisyal ng ehekutiba at lehislatura at iba pang sangay ng pamahalaan. As of the latest count, at least 21.7 billion pesos in bank accounts and other forms of assets are frozen upon written order by the Court of Appeals. May mga sumasailalim na rin sa Witness Protection Program ng DOJ upang tumulong palakasin ang mga ebidensya habang nangangako na magre-restitute ng napagkasunduang halaga sa ilalim ng mga pinirmahang Memorandum of Agreement with the WPP tungo sa logical conclusion ng mga klasong plunder, malversation of public funds through falsification, violations of anti-graft laws at iba pang krimen. We laid out how this deeply rooted scheme operates with systemic precision. It involves a network of actors, namely the contractors group, who collude amongst themselves to rig public biddings and monopolize flood control projects, key DPWH coordinators who manage project allocations and orchestrate the collection and delivery of kickbacks, and intermediaries, agents, or bagmen who receive these illicit funds allegedly in behalf of their principals. Naging daan din ang mga pagdinig ng komite upang mabuklat ang usapin ng conflict of interest sa Philippine Contractors Accreditation Board or PCAB. We also flagged blacklisted companies resurfacing under new names, the rampant practice of license renting, and the awarding of billion-peso contracts to severely undercapitalized firms. Modesty aside, but significantly, your committee paved the way for the implementation of landmark transparency reforms in our national budget process. These include our transition to live-streamed and open BICAM that detailed budget amendments, insertions, if you like, that are now traceable to their proponents. Not to mention stricter safeguards to ensure that no vague or undefined infrastructure projects are included in the General Appropriations Act. Let this serve as a warning to skeptics, detractors, and hijackers who exploit the vulnerabilities and anger of our people to deepen the fault lines of our nation during these trying times. Your noise will not silence the truth. Neither does it provide any help in our investigation. Your noise cannot convict and won't even indict the malefactors in this flood control mess. Only evidence does. Para ipangalandakan ninyo na inutil at walang silbi ang Blue Ribbon Committee is not only insensitive to its members, but an insult to our fellow Filipinos who have consistently followed and monitored our hearings and participated in the trillion-peso march, the clergy, students, ordinary workers, and all concerned citizens who became aware and exposed to unbridled and systemic corruption, mainly made possible by the Blue Ribbon Committee hearings, and the media, who serve as a powerful tool in bringing to the households, eateries, barbershops, etc., the details of each and every hearing of your Blue Ribbon Committee. With all that being said, as the chairman of this committee, I say to you, shut the F up. Let us now resume our hearings. General Counsel, kindly acknowledge the members present and the resource persons present.
The following resource persons are present. Congressman Leandro Leviste. Members nila. The following The following resource persons are present. Congressman Leandro Leviste from the Department of Public Works and Highways, Undersecretary Arthur Bizar, Undersecretary Ricardo Bernabe. From the Department of Justice, Secretary Frederick Vida. Prosecutor General Richard Anthony Fadulion. Mr. Manuel Bonoan, Mr. Gerard Pacanan, Mr. Gerald Opulencia, Mr. Henry Alcantara, Mr. Bryce Erickson Hernandez, Mr. JP Mendoza, Mr. Trigve Olaivar, Mr. Maynard Ngu. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank the Honorable Congressman Leandro Leviste for attending this hearing, and also former Secretary Manuel Bonoan for flying home to attend this hearing. We really appreciate your presence. The chair would suggest that we follow the following sequence. First, yung issue ni na Discaya and Romualdez. And we have here two witnesses. Tawagin na lang natin sila. Anyway, it's a matter of record, but for purposes of this public hearing, tatawagin na lang natin sila na si Joy at saka si Maria. These are staffers of the tenants, the former tenants of the former owner of the resident in South Forbes Park in Makati City, yung lessor noong former owner, Mr. Ocampo. The next will be
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, yung next will be yes, Mr. President.
I would just wondering, Mr. Chair, we have a guest that's who did, and then with who was this individual,
Yeah,
Mr. Chair?
it is upon the request, but the names are already in our notices, so invitation. So the committee members will have properly identified them already.
Thank
If you saw the invitations.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
It is upon the request na kung pwedeng wag ipakita yung kanilang mukha,
All right, Mr. Chair.
for
Thank
obvious
you.
reasons, for
Thank
security reasons. Now, second will be grid coordinates, and we'd like to invite Undersecretary Arthur Bistar to present and show us, the members of the committee, bakit bali-baliktad o mali-mali yung mga grid coordinates as submitted to the Office of the President, specifically sa PMS. So, Secretary Bernardo is here so he can also respond and explain. Third will be, andiyan ba si Usec Bernardo? Yeah, Undersecretary Bernardo, yung issue about the role of General Nick Torre do sa kanyang paghingi ng custody. And the last would be the Cabral files. I guess this will be sensitive enough that it could merit an executive session. Depende sa ating mga kasamahan dito kung ano yung kanilang sentiment about this. Yes, Mr. Senate President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. May we ask those invited or just recently invited to take their oaths? And I would like to find out, well, as usual, I'm here to listen, but I'd like to find out who, through the Secretary of the Blue Ribbon, who responded to the subpoena that I have signed and have issued recently, the 12 subpoenas that were released. May we find out who are here to attend because of the subpoena?
Thank you, Mr. Senate President.
Well, mainly one of the reasons I'm asking for this is because we would like to find out who responded. And secondly, those who did not respond, and perhaps we may discuss it with the members of the committee for us to either ask for a show cause or issue a warrant of arrest for not responding to the subpoena of the Senate. We have done this before, numerous times.
Yes, Mr. President, everybody is present. Lahat ng nakatanggap ng subpoena except former Congressman Zaldy Co. So with that, shall we direct the Secretariat and Orly Gutesa, for that matter.
The-
So, idirect
So,
na lang
we-
natin yung...
Well, the two names that were mentioned, are they represented here somehow?
There are no representatives, Mr. President.
Therefore, I would like the committee to look into the possibility of issuing a warrant of arrest for both. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
In deference to the latest Supreme Court ruling, Mr. President, show cause order na muna natin. And if not satisfactory, saka natin i-cite for contempt and eventually mag-issue ng warrant of arrest.
Yes, that was the reason I was asking if there was a possibility of a representative from any of the two. Nevertheless, we leave it to you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Secretariat is directed to issue show cause orders to Congressman Zaldy Co and Orly Gutesa. So with that, let me recognize first, kindly administer the oath to the new attendees.
Mr. Chairman, also present is Ms. Carlene Yap Villa, Secretary Rolando Toledo, and also Usec Bernardo. Those who are here for the first time, kindly stand up and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this proceeding?
Thank you very much. Kindly take your seats.
Just in case anyone asks why we did not ask Congressman Leviste to take his oath, he is a member of Congress, and we are all incumbent. We are tasked to always say the truth, especially in our hearings. So we are subject to all the rules of both houses of Congress when it comes to hearings and inquiries, investigations. Thank you.
Okay, with the permission of my colleagues, we have here, as I mentioned, Maria and Joy, and we are in receipt of a draft affidavit na gusto naming panumpaan nyo ngayon sa harap ng komite. So, magdidistribute kami ng kopya sa mga miyembro. At the same time, tatanungin ko kayo na yung inyong pinadalang draft affidavit, ito yung katotohanan, pawang katotohanan at buong katotohanan lamang. Pwede ba sagutin ninyo? No, wala pa ba rito? While waiting for the two witnesses, we proceed na lang kay Undersecretary Ato Bisnar with some presentation because ang issue rito is yung reports na deliberately, di umano, allegedly, na ang sinabite ni dating Secretary Bonoan sa Malacanang ay mali-maling grid coordinates. So, Undersecretary Bisnar, can you make your presentation? And after that, we will ask Secretary Bonoan to respond. Usec Bisnar.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, we will present po the preliminary findings of the ICI and yung factual lang po yung papakita ni Usec Bisnar. But for the final report with regard to the 421, we would defer to the ICI to render the final report po.
Thank you, Undersecretary Bernabe. Undersecretary Bisnar is recognized.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Your Honors. This presentation will focus on the physical validation of flood control projects by the DPWH in support of the ICI. Next slide. The ICI mandated a four-step process as follows, as shown. At this point, let me go very briefly. Yung first step po is the initial field validation by the DND, AFP, DILG, PNP, DepDev, and DPWH. After yung initial validation, ito po ay ginawa because we're talking here of 30,768 flood control projects from 2016 to 2025. So as initial filter po, ito po yung ginawa natin, deploying po uniformed men and women on the ground para po mas ma-fast track yung process. But after po nitong initial field validation, may technical inspection po and audit of documentation. This time around po, engineers, accountants, investigators ang bababa po sa mga projects. And the third and fourth is the case build-up and eventually the drafting and filing of case. Ito po ay ICI process which the DPWH has been supporting from the beginning. Next. When we talk po about the 421 suspected ghost projects, ito po yung breakdown from the sumbong sa Pangulo, there were 32, AFP, PNP, 169, DepDev, 210, and then dahil po may common projects between AFP, PNP, and DepDev na 5, so na-trim down into 416 po yung suspected non-existent projects. Ito po yung sa first phase pa lang nung process. Next. So going po sa second phase na yung technical inspection and audit of documentation. Next slide. Ang ICI po created project investigation teams from the PNP and NPI. They focused po on the 79 flood control projects of the top 15 contractors. On the other hand po, the Secretary of DPWH found it important to deploy po DPWH quality assurance unit teams together with AFP and PNP engineers para po tulungan ng ICI with the technical inspection. So 337 po ang hinawakan po ng DPWH and AFP, PNP engineers. Next. From the very beginning po, 287 po dun sa total. Of the 416, 287 po ay coordinates, MIPS coordinates lang po ang naibigay. On the other hand, yung 129 naman po, MIPS and infratrack coordinates. I will clarify further, Your Honors. Next slide. Ang na-provide po na coordinates ay yung MIPS start coordinates.